We're in the middle of the story of cosmic dissolution. Not only the earth gets destroyed, but also heaven. The gods also come to their end. We like stories of disaster, don't we? We like stories of hardship. And perhaps this is because we often wonder how we would cope in adversity. How would we cope with being tortured? How would we cope with being attacked in the street? How would we cope if our homes got destroyed by tornado, earthquake or flood? I'm not so sure there's much benefit in thinking along these lines, because how you would actually cope is completely different to how you think you would cope. The reality of these situations is quite different to the imagining of these situations. So we're in the middle of cosmic dissolution, and we get this vicarious thrill from it perhaps. But it's worth bearing in mind how you cope with your actual problems. I've got a water blockage at the moment. My sinks aren't draining. And this problem has been quite persistent. And there's a blockage quite far down the pipes, which I've tried to remove by pouring all sorts of toxic substances down, by using plungers of various degrees of plunging power. I've even dismantled the piping to some extent and been trying to put a metal coil down to physically remove the blockage. So never mind cosmic dissolution. How does one cope with blocked pipes? Of course, there's perhaps a metaphor here. There's perhaps a metaphor for why I've got blocked pipes. Something isn't flowing. And we can look at it from that point of view if you're so inclined. But it's not going to, well, is it going to help me solve the problem? I have a stubborn reluctance to call in professional help. There's still one or two things I might try before resorting to that though. But what's this saying about me? I suppose this is what it comes down to. I have to look at how I'm approaching this problem and how this problem is affecting me. Because personally I don't like having problems. And yeah, I get drawn to problems, I get involved in problems. It's an excuse to feel frustrated and angry. But this problem of not having flowing water, of not having draining water, how am I dealing with it? How am I dealing with it? How am I letting it affect me? And it's having more of an effect on me than I might wish to acknowledge. So let's forget about my problem and get on with the cosmic dissolution. Vasistha continued. When Brahma the creator was thus meditating, I looked around. I saw a sun rising in every direction. While I was looking at this extraordinary phenomenon, a sun arose right from the bowels of the earth, like a subterranean fire. They were 11 in all, with 3 more satellite suns like the 3 eyes of Lord Shiva, which together formed the 12th sun. It was getting too hot there. So I left that place and went away to a far-off place. The entire firmament was ablaze with the light of these suns. There was cut-cut and cut-cut sound everywhere. I suppose that might be the sound of sparks blazing. So we got these 12 suns which apparently appear at the end of the world. I suppose we could speculate about what these suns might be. Apparently these suns are born directly of space and return to space and come back again in the next cycle, the next universal cycle. It could be the 12 solar months, the 12 divisions of the solar year. the 12 great deities of Hinduism, which is indicated by the 3 satellite suns, which are likened to the eyes of Shiva, the eyes of Lord Shiva. It could be some Kundalini thing, could be chakras perhaps, or it could relate to practices which are carried out at sunrise or sunset. There are 12 yogic asanas you can perform at that time, along with 12 mantras. So we've got these 12 suns which turn up later. Living beings were everywhere being scorched by the heat. Even the aquatic creatures were not exempt. The destruction was colossal and complete. Mountains fell on burning cities, grinding them into a paste. At that time people were weeping and wailing aloud. Others, yogis, who were able to make their life force depart through the crown of their head, attained immortality. The earth was scorched by the fire that arose from above and below. So everybody's either suffering or leaving the room. The entire world, with all the beings in it, was set ablaze by the fire that emanated from the eyes of Rudra. There was sound, boom, 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 everywhere, and it looked as if the demonesses were playing by throwing streams of fire at one another. Meteors began to fall on the mountain tops and began to dance the dance of death and destruction. The fire that arose on the earth seemed to link the earth with the heaven or the entire universe. Even the Sumeri mountain, which was made of solid gold, began to melt. The snowbound mountain, Himalaya, melted away. Only the Malaya mountain remained unharmed. Like the heart of a nobleman who, even in his own suffering, seeks to promote the happiness of others, that mountain stood spreading joy and peace, just as sandalwood gives off its fragrance even to one who burns it. So not Mount Meru, not Mount Sumeru, not Mount Kailash, but this Mount Malaya seems to be indestructible. I think Mount Malaya was supposed to burn whatever touched it. But here it's given quite a benevolent role. I suspect this is because some relief for suffering is being suggested. You cannot, or if you do not know anything about how to escape from conditioned existence, then this is the kind of way of suggesting that there's always something good that you can find in the midst of disaster. It's never completely bad.